Most definitely. I think that based on your class, I think crime doesn't start because you want to. Crime starts out of necessity, and the people who are most needy are the people who do crimes or who start out doing crimes. And it definitely does escalate, and there are the anomalies within like the upper classes, and but it's a different type of crime.
I think criminality is somewhat of a class issue because most of the time they're just stealing or breaking into things to meet their needs, to get warmth or food or shelter or to feed their families.
I guess I would say that there are different kinds of crime that are probably specific to certain classes. That it might be more likely to steal money or food if you don't have the means to support the people around you, if you don't have access to those things. Whereas you might see in upper classes more white collar crimes and more drug use, I think, frequently. Because you do have access to the money in order to get those things. But I also think that some of it is the institutionalization of the expectations of certain classes, and so because of our expectations as a society and and racial profiling, which sometimes also correlates to class, would influence even just statistically what we're seeing as far as when crime happens and from who it happens, because I was just at a meeting, a nonprofit organization that is addressing racial profiling essentially in our society, and so the stop and frisk sort of thing that happens to people of color happens so much more frequently than it would maybe for white people, and I think that's something I haven't had to experience, I would say, because I am aware of the fact that I've had this white privilege, and so it's less likely in the eyes of society that I would have anything to be frisked for. And so then statistically, of course, the more people that you frisk are going to come up with, or stop, are going to end up getting in trouble more for crimes. Whether they're actually doing them more or not is probably unlikely.
I do not think it is a class issue. I think there's components of the class issue that make it what it is. I think that crimes change on various levels. Murder is murder no matter what it is. But like Bernie Madoff, for instance, stole billions of dollars from a lot of people, where a thief on the street steals $20 or a wallet from one person. I think it works just as much both ways. So then you really look at the difference between white collar and blue collar, the white collar crimes and the rest, where white collar is more financially based, which is what you see in upper classes, like the upper class, where the lower classes, you don't have access to the same things that, say, the lower classes. They can't access the bank account at AIG or something like that, so they don't have the opportunity to do that. So I don't think crime is necessarily a class issue. I think it's just a person issue, where people who are more motivated, like, it's just how they're wired, I suppose. Greed might play into it. Sometimes it might be survival, but I think it's more to it than that.
I think in a lot of ways it is. Obviously you have criminals in all walks of life, but for the majority you hear a lot of most of the criminal acts that you hear of are usually going to be from those who are more impoverished. Although the bigger cases are always kind of white collar or the ones that usually seem to hit home more with people when on the news are going to be those that are done to people who are in a higher class. Obviously school shootings and things like that, but yeah, I would say that in a lot of ways it is.
Yes, I believe that crimes, the severity of the crimes are related to socioeconomic class. Do you want me to expand?
Could you elaborate just a little tiny bit?
Sure. And so sometimes when we look at the crimes that are being committed, a lot of it is who you're connected to, who you have resources with, and so depending on who your circle of friends or your network is, it either gives you access to whatever crime you're trying to commit. So obviously there's a difference between white collar crimes and, you know, stuff that happens in neighborhoods or whatever. But yes, I believe who you're connected to kind of gives a person more opportunity to use those connections to either benefit or abuse or whatever that may be.
Awesome. You're so awesome.
So, in conclusion, criminality is determined by class simply because there are so many factors that put you as a disadvantage because there are factors of the public looking at you and seeing you as a criminal because of the way you talk and speak and the way you dress. And then there's also the factor of if you can't pay for certain things that you'll go out and steal them. And so you are just put at a disadvantage not only by the public but also by yourself, and that causes criminality.
Yes, because you know, and when you have lower class, when you're in the lower class in America, I think that well, like if you're in the lower class, then it means you don't live in a very good neighborhood. So you know, most crimes happen in lower class neighborhoods. So you wouldn't expect to go to like a neighborhood with all mansions and see a crime being committed. So I think that it does have to do with that because you know, there's a lot of like drug dealers and all that stuff. They commit crimes all the time, and that doesn't happen in most neighborhoods. So yeah.